this throttle cable, I need to cut off the nipple off the end. My vintage straight pull throttle doesn't need it. I've never bought in all the years a proper pair of cable cutters, so this is the way I do it. Get an old pair of pliers, get that right up to the end. Get yourself man's hammer, and that's it. Just going to go ahead and install my twist grip now. So this little bit here go on first. Just nip that up. Then you've got this bit. Leaving a little bit of play on this, but I've got a cable just to there and I've got a bit on top of the carb, so see how it pans out. I might have to do this a few times. I've never fitted this before, so we will see. So this needs to slide up into here. Screw that into there. Like so. Alright, so I want to deal with my decompression lever cable next. This little part here, I don't know how to hold this best for you guys to see, but anyway, that thing. I made it work today. That's for the trunnion type thing for the lever, and I'll show you that obviously when we get the cable in there. So yeah, hopefully that'll help me out. So this bit that I made it work today, a slide in here. And the cable's going to come along. Alright, so at the moment my cable isn't quite long enough. It needs to be right back here, and then I'm going to solder on this little tiny nipple, and that will fit inside the end of there. And I think this lever can come back quite a long way before it's actually going to interfere inside there and lift the valve. So I'm just looking at this to work out whether I need to basically shorten the outer cable of this and put a new ferrule on. But I think it'll be alright, because like I say, there, I don't think that's interfering, so I might go ahead and solder that to that, and then we can reassemble and see what's going on. I'm not sure this is going to work. I'm going to use a regular soldering iron, regular electrician's solder, but I'll give it a go. If not, I've got to get the blowtorch out. Just didn't want to take this back out the handlebars. So anyway, right, that bit on, that's got a screw in there. My little nipple thing. Okay, so you might remember in the previous video, if you saw it, that I was talking about these inverted levers and how I decided to use a grub screw. I know it doesn't show up very good in the cameras, so when I come up close it's anyway, grub screw. I've now decided to buy a countersunk screw. I better hear that bike going by. Yeah, so I've drilled through and tapped through the bar and the inverted lever, but now I'll be drilling a clearance hole in the bar and a countersink, and I'll be fitting these with the hope that's going to pull it up tighter and stop it. It had this little bit of play, so I'll just cut these down to length. They're a little bit too long, and then we'll do some drilling. So I've cut down the bolts and I'm going to drill out the bars for a clearance hole, but I need to be a bit careful because I've still got the cable attached to my inverted lever, so I'm just going to go through gently with this 3.5mm 4BA is just under 3.5. Alright, that's good. That just drops through there now. So now for the countersink. Try and clear out some of this shit in here. Alright, let's insert that back in. And I'm going to try and nip this up, even though I'm going to have to take it off again to put the grip on. Just want to check how it fits. So, look. Yeah, that's miles better than the grub screw. That's nice and sturdy. If I wanted, I could put a little bit of Loctite on that. Don't know if I will, because that'll never come out with the grip on anyway. So yeah, that is good improvement. Nice one. Next thing I'm going to do is try and fit my grip onto this side of the bar now that I'm happy that this decompression lever cable is working. So I've got my grip, and I'm going to just use some very, it's probably not the right thing, but I'm going to put that on my finger, give it a little bit of a wipe around in it. I'm a little bit worried it will stay in there forever and be a bit slippy slidey, but there is probably a proper product for this. Anyway, let's see how we get on. Right, obviously I've had to go a bit further on so I can get my inverted lever on. Right, now obviously we got that there. You can see the way that's been cut out, hopefully. So the cable can pass through that, and then that can go into there, that go on there, just like that. Yeah, hopefully that'll be alright. And that's good because I can then position my clutch lever properly and advanced retard lever properly. This is all temporary at the moment. Next on the to-do list, I want to sort out my front brake cable so that I can fit the lever properly, and then I'll be able to install my throttle twist grip properly. So this is the first one I bought, midway adjuster type thing. I guess that went on the forks, but that's for Mark II KSS. Turned out to be no good to me, so I don't know what I'm quite going to do with that. And next up is this one here. which I've bought again, just a standard off the peg from the club jobber, and I think it's for an MS, no, it's probably from a Mac or a MOV probably. So the only issue I'm going to have here, I'm going to have to cut off this end. I'll cut off this nipple bit and get rid of that bit so that this can fit down into there on my forks. But yeah, initially what I want to try and sort out so I can get all this top end done is, here's my inverted lever, but it's the problem I've got is this nipple is for a normal conventional lever, and it's probably 2 or 3 mil too fat diameter, so when that goes on into there, I think it's going to be just too big. You can see that it doesn't line up right, and also it's not going to fit through that hole, which I need it to be able to fit through there. So yeah, so I'm going to file that down. I could easily cut it off and buy a new nipple, but I'm going to try and file it down and retain how they've soldered it on to this cable. Right, next I'm looking to sort out cutting this cable down to length from a brake cable. So I've got a small tiny little nipple thing, solder that on. So I just want to push that, no, hang on, so here is the front brake rod. So if I just take this little bit off out the top, right, so that's screwing in, yeah, so that's going to screw in to the top, so I'll put that on first. I'm going to put it so it's about flush with this tube here, and then my little solder on is going to go on. Right, so I'm going to mark it and cut it around about there, and then I'll have to adjust on this cable adjuster up so that I can make sure this is inside that tube when it travels. Alright, I need to try and solder this nipple now onto the front brake cable. I'm going to try and use this big bad boy. Never ever used one of these before, ever. Picked this up at an auto jumble, traditional style of soldering iron, so we're going to see what happens. Got me blowtorch. Well, kind of worked, but I'm not too sure. I think this is probably better used in a different situation. Yeah, you're going to see that I've put this rod in now for the front brake, and I've just had to remove my front brake arm, so that's just giving her a little bit of a nip up. Never know how tight to go with these things. It's only a small little thing, but I don't want it falling off. Right, okay, so that's in there. Yeah, definitely ain't working properly. So, you need to look at this. First thing I do is put some grease around this up here, see if that helps it slide in and out a little bit. Yeah, well, that's a lot better with a bit of grease on there. Maybe how I've just adjusted it, I'm not sure.